Okay, so if you go to the homepage of fireflies.com, just type in fireflies AI and you can see it's an AI note taker for your meetings. So you got to do your own sign up. I've already signed up, so I'm just going to go ahead and open the app. Okay, and so the interface is pretty standard here. You can see that it has home, meetings, uploads, and then it has a bunch of other features that you don't always see in other apps. So this homepage, I haven't dug around in it too much because I was really just interested in to see what are the capabilities of the quote unquote AI. So if you go into the integrations, you can see that they already have native integrations for a lot of platforms. So depending on what you use, Asana is a task, kind of like a task tracking platform. You can go into something like Google Docs if you want to write your summaries there. Google Drive if you want to, I guess, organize your summaries. And then, other stuff, Google Sheets, keep going on. It's really just a lot of productivity stuff. N8N for recent AI stuff. If you're doing your own small little automations that you want to build off this. But anyway, let's go back to the actual platform. So meetings. So you can see I have a lot of test files here, but essentially this is where you're going to see your meetings. So anytime you have a meeting, once you've configured it correctly, it'll run here. And so what Fireflies AI does on the back end is they run a summary of your meeting. So I took a test audio meeting it was for a city council meeting. It was just online publicly. And I was curious how well it did. And so you can see it gives you right out the bat, it gives you a general summary of kind of what was going on. So it says home industry approvals, Jeremy Mosey's mechanic business, whatever that is, and then, a list of other things. And then if you go further down, you can see notes. And so it actually timestamps the events that happen here. So you can see that it has 307 for the home industry. Keep going down, 1308, yada, yada, yada. But what I thought was the most interesting was actually kind of the action items that come out of this. So let's see. You usually just see them right in here. Let's transition over to. There they are. Okay. So action items. You can see that it actually creates action items off this transcript, and that's great. Um, that's going to be, I mean, useful, right? Every meeting should have some action items that come out of it, and it does it, I would say rather well. I obviously didn't listen to the full transcript, but it pulled out some pretty key details that seem like, they do need action. And so once you actually have kind of your team hooked up to this platform, it can ideally, you can see here it says speaker one. It keeps going on, but if you have it set up correctly, technically their platform says that it can have speaker detection. So I imagine it does detect the voices themselves as different people, but in terms of actually getting those to pair up correctly with a person, might take a little more work. But imagine it has a list of people that joined your meeting. It has speaker one, speaker two, speaker three, and then it automatically assigns these action items. And then considering the integrations you have on the back end here, it could literally just do a bunch of stuff for you. And so this is really just a lot of administrative stuff that I remember seeing in my meetings all the time. Is someone's taking notes, and then someone would send up a follow-up email, and then someone would assign tasks, and it's really taking the job of a project manager and taking those things away. It's not obviously completely replacing a project manager, but it's easing that up. You don't necessarily need to hire someone to do that. So I really like this platform. I think it's got a lot of potential. I think the integrations is very cool, but I think actually what you can do off of this platform might even be more interesting. So you see here we have Fireflies API, and so obviously these setups here we have integrations with apps, but this is really only getting started. Obviously, with any integration, it has to be kind of mainstreamed, right? And so when you mainstream something, it's going to be, creating a task, writing a summary. But if you take off the Fireflies API and, let's say you take those notes and you actually interpret them a little bit more, and let's say you technically, you usually just write like let's say you have to write a certain type of report usually, and that's triggered by an action item. you can then have some kind of AI go off and draft that up for you. Let's say you have to do some kind of, I don't know, some research campaign and it was triggered by an action item. You can have the AI start to do that for you. And so I think while all these other integrations are, great for, quick and easy to set up, I think the real power comes from this Fireflies API.